We have a supersized issue of Batman. Well, kinda. It's supersized in the sense that there's no backup, so the full page count goes to the main story. So it's a longer main story. And surprise, surprise, I hated most of this, but but okay, I will say I do like one little status quo thing they introduced before the end of the issue, which I think could be fun going forward, especially if other books use it. But the main premise of this issue is that the clone that was made by Zur-En-Arrh of Bruce to be his Robin is around, right? And Batman finds him, and the plot of this issue is that this clone is actually aging quicker because, well, obviously he's already like in his late teens or whatever, right? So he was designed to age quick, but it's not stopping. He keeps aging quick, so he's going to be dead in like a few weeks at this rapid aging, right? So this issue is Bruce Wayne dealing with the fact that he's got a clone of himself dying and getting all sentimental about life and stuff. And I hate every part of this concept. I don't want a Batman story to be about him with a clone, which, shock, that's how he gets a hand back. He basically, the clone sacrifices his hand to give it to Bruce Wayne.
This become Batman the Clone Saga.
I hate it. I hate all this cloning shit.
Logically, I agree with you. But compared to where we were, I was so glad not to be reading Zur-En-Arrh anymore. I was fine with Bruce checking in with the rest of the Bat family, or them checking in with him, and him dealing with the death of this clone and getting sentimental.
I get what you're saying, Matt, but the Zur-En-Arrh stuff's still thick here because, because Bruce Wayne in this issue discovers that Zur-En-Arrh's got secret, offices, got secret places, bunkers. I mean, we knew about at least one bunker, but there's a secret part of Wayne Corporation's building that's new to him. And not only that, Zur-En-Arrh had put away $13 billion, so now Bruce Wayne is just a billionaire again. That's how we've magically fixed that.
I got to there and I wanted to throw my comic.
I was just rolling my eyes a lot. The entire the idea of getting Bruce to a point where he's getting to the realization that he has by the end of this, that it's all about his Bat family and helping them and them helping him is kind of what he should be focusing on. I like that sentiment. I like that he buys this new mansion in the middle of the city because he wants to be in the heart of the city, and it's now the home for all the Bat family who need a home, so we're going to see all these other characters live there. They do mention that Dick and Babs live together in Bloodhaven, so they'll stay there mainly, but they've got rooms here if they need them. But, okay, and it's the Pennyworth Manor. Fine. No problems with that. As a status quo change that we can maybe use in a lot of the Bat books going forward for the next few years, I like that. That's completely fine. But this plot of being concerned that this other Bruce Wayne is dying because he's a clone, I freaking hated.
If we weren't getting stuff, I hate to keep comparing these books, but if we weren't getting stuff with in Ram V's tech, that's Bruce facing down his mortality, this would ring a little bit more, not true, but it's a little bit harder because he's watching himself die and get older, right? But I don't know. After all the stuff that we did with Zur-En-Arrh and a clone that's aging out, it was hard to get that sentimental about it.
Yeah, I just think it's shit. I think it's shit, and I don't think it fits Batman at all. I have no problem with Batman fighting a Clayface, someone that's a bit more monstrous, like mutants and things like that. That's all fine. I'm cool with Mr. Freeze. I'm cool with him being in a science fiction-y world. But I just don't like the way that Zur-En-Arrh's been used, and I don't like this idea that there's just a clone that is now dying, and that's how we get to a lot of these points. It's just all a bit fantastical for Batman for me. So, given the fact that it's all spinning out of a story arc that I pretty much hated to begin with, I mean, at the very least, though, it's a one-issue thing. It's done. We're at the end of it here. Next issue will have a completely new thing. So
did I miss in reading that it felt like the reason the clone existed was to age Bruce up and then transfer the Zur-En-Arrh consciousness into a real body? Or
no,
what was
no. It was
okay.
It was just that he wanted him to be ready as a fighter, and the clone theorizes that he didn't care about the aging stopping because all he would do is just keep making more clones. So it's just an endless supply of Robins.
I get the take in the meta sense of Batman always having a Robin, always having someone waiting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, oh man, I almost would rather have had like this clone was meant to be the new and improved Bruce Wayne without the same kind of trauma, so he's not as hung up on things, you know. But hooey.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff with Batman talking to Tim that he's worried that he's going to, that Zur-En-Arrh will still come back out of him or whatever, and I'm like, oh, please, no, I never want to hear about Zur-En-Arrh again. Never again, please. But, I think the only other thing I'd have to say, other than just the absurdity of the clone cutting off his hand, because Bruce comes back to the brownstone, and like Tim in that earlier, I was like, oh, there's been an incident, Bruce. And I thought, oh, he's tried to commit suicide, and I was expecting bandages around his wrists or something like that. But then I saw that the hand was missing, and I went, oh no, he's just cut off his hand and put it in a tank for Bruce to attach later.
Yep.
God damn it.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
Yeah.
I would know, of course, here's where the new hand's coming in.
Yeah. I had to say as well, I wasn't super fond of a lot of the art in this issue. It had kind of that, I don't know, it's kind of smooth house style kind of look to it. At points, I just didn't really like the faces and the expressions on them. I get that they were showing maybe a bit of time passing, but it was kind of weird that Bruce suddenly had a beard for like a couple of scenes. And then he didn't like 2 scenes later, so I don't know. It felt a bit of an odd
so he's got
choice.
like the 5 o'clock shadow through most of it. Like when he goes to get the money, right? That's Zur-En-Arrh his stash. He has that 5 o'clock shadow. Yeah, when it's time for the clone to die, as he's hooked up to this Herculean, life support machine. Bruce has a full-on beard. Like it looks like a playoff beard almost.
Yeah.
So.
Also worth mentioning, Vandal Savage as commissioner, which we knew, but he does a whole thing where he calls Batman out with a signal and says, you and your team can continue to operate in my city, but you have to keep it quiet, and you have to do whatever I ask whenever I call you. He even offers him the mansion back, and Batman tells him to go F himself, basically.
Yeah.
And that leads us to the Pennyworth Manor, and Bruce fixing it up, and everyone being invited to come stay. Which, again, this is the part that I like the sentiment of. Selina comes to see Bruce as well, and I really didn't like the art in these pages. I thought Selina's face looked really flat, really lacking definition. Bruce looked like a completely different guy from earlier in the issue here as well. Just very inconsistent, not really working for me at all. Yeah, it also kind of felt weird to just like, oh, because I'd even forgotten we had the whole Batman, Catwoman, Gotham War thing. So to hear Catwoman and Bruce like bring it up and be like, oh, we were at war and that was really silly, right? Do you know that Zur-En-Arrh was kind of like manipulating my head? It's like, yeah, like, Dick or Babs told me everything. Water under the bridge. I'm like, I feel like I get that that's the justification for it, but having them just kind of hand wave it away like that in a scene just makes the whole thing feel like it was just a big giant waste of time.
Because it was.
I know, but don't point out that it was a waste of time to me.
Yeah, I will say I do like the coloring in that scene. The purples really look nice. With the stars behind them and stuff. Like it makes for a nice like that. And the layouts are pretty good. But yeah, her face and a lot of those, Bruce's face.
Oh, there's that one where she's looking over her shoulder.
Yeah.
Where she helps him up, and then that last panel's her looking over her shoulder, smiling. Yeah. Like, I'm like,
she kind of looks like Crispin Glover. Especially to do the dance for Friday the 13th.
It looks more like obviously it was already mentioned earlier in the page, and you could see her in a bit better light up in a different panel. But it almost looks like, wait, is Tim going through like an emo phase or something, and he's just like draping his hair down? Yeah. So I wasn't particularly keen on the art in this issue either. So, like I say, I like the status quo setup of this new mansion and the name and the Bat family all being there. But everything else in this issue, how we got to that point, how Bruce magically has his new hand, how he's got all this money again, the getting emotional watching the clone of himself dying. I get thematically what it's trying to do. I just conceptually don't like any of it as a Batman story. I'm not saying it's impossible to do a story where there's a clone of Bruce and Bruce has to like face his own death. I could see a different execution of that where it does work. But in this, I didn't like it at all. You know, I think it needed to be more drawn out. It had to be moodier. It had to be more of like a deep introspective kind of like saga almost, if you were going to really sell me that story. And I don't think this was the execution of that at all. So yeah, there you go. That's that. You know, there's a little joke here when Selena shows up and sees him like putting the coffin in the grave, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just burying my past," which is a bit of an on the nose joke. But I'm like, yeah, it better stay buried, okay? Right? That's better be the last we're hearing of this Zoo-and-R bollocks. I swear.
I don't want any ghouls digging up fake Bruce and fitting him.
Don't even put that into the world, Matt. I don't even want that to be a possibility.
Yeah. Don't just leave him. You know, fun fact about Abraham Lincoln is that after he was assassinated, there were some former Confederates that had to settle some gambling debts. So what they were going to do is kidnap the president's body and hold it for ransom, right? And they almost made out with it. And that's where Secret Service became really a big thing because they were for, you know, counterfeiters and whatnot. So what they did is they buried Lincoln under this like 7-ton concrete slab at the time. And then that's where he's been ever since. And I feel that's what we need to do with this Bruce body. 7-ton concrete slab.
I was wondering where you were going with that. You just sort of naturally pivoted to that. It reminds me of Abraham Lincoln. I'm like, wait, what? Yep. Where are you going with this?
It's worth the wait. So just big concrete slab. Here lies so and so. You know, make up a Wayne family member.
Yeah, the problem is though, is that League of Assassins absolutely would have access to the equipment to dig up a 7-ton concrete slab.
They come with the League of Assassins backhoe and bulldozer.
Yeah. Entire construction site worth of equipment just to remove this.
Well, I mean, that is kind of what the Orgums did, so that is kind of spot on. There is, you know, they came to fix Gotham. So, oh man, just everything else. Like, I know I'm the crank that beats up on Batman, but I'm so happy there's still as good Batman that I look forward to read. It's just not the main book. You know, this is what I read first every week. Just get it out of the way, rip it off like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, the other thing here that I want to just say how much I disliked was any page time that was devoted to the clone going on about how, oh, I've got all these memories, but they're all just your memories, so I've not really experienced anything or lived. Like every time he started talking about that, I'm like, I don't care about you. You're just a dumb clone that I'm going to forget about next issue because I don't want to think about you ever again. Yep. So yeah, I mean at this point I'm openly hostile towards this book and I keep reading it anyway. But
it does give us a little good stuff. Again, people now got to learn about Abraham Lincoln's tomb because of Batman.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just once we got to the clone, I just thought like, look, man, Spider-Man had the Clone Saga. Batman don't need one. Let's just never mention this again.
No. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Zdarsky's doing next time. I guess they gave this an extra issue this month because I presume that they want to tie into Absolute Power with the next arc, and this was just to get this out of the way, kind of thing. Which is fair enough. I don't necessarily begrudge that. What are you rating that?
I'm gonna give it. Oof, do I go that low? I'll give it a middling 5 out of 10. I was gonna go 4.5, but you know, I'm in a good mood this week.
I'm tempted to give it the 5 as well, just purely because I like the mansion stuff that it sets up towards the end. That said, though, I wasn't a fan of the art, which arguably should then drag it back down on top of the story stuff, mostly not being to my taste. So yeah, I'm going to go with a 4. But but I just, I'm giving my thought process because it was at least one element that I did like.